Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, somewhere where you are in our lovely world. Thanks so much for joining us here live on Serverless Office Hours. What a pleasure to have you. We are streaming live on the AWS Twitch channel, also via YouTube, Serverless Land channel, and also via LinkedIn Live. I'm super happy today because we're talking to the one and only. We've got Cornelio Critoru. Cornelio, welcome to Serverless Office Hours. I think it's your first time. I can't believe we waited so long. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, it's my first time here, but really happy to be here.
Cool. So you're an edge prototyping architect. So can you explain what that is, and also your sort of journey to how you landed up doing what you do at AWS?
Yeah. So I joined AWS almost 6 years ago, right?
Wow.
At first, I was a solution architect with different type of customers. So I started with enterprise customers, and at the end, I was working with startup customers. So I've seen all, I would say. And 3 years later, I joined this prototyping team, and since then, basically, I'm working hand by hand with customers to build prototypes that can last between a few weeks and 1 month, 1 month and a half. So we are like 100% focused with them during that time. So it's like I'm part of the company and we work on the same project. And at the end, basically, the customer has a prototype that works. And at the same time, they were enabled about whatever we use during that prototype. So it's a role where I have several hats. Like I'm the developer, I'm project manager because I need to say, okay, we need to do this, this, and this, and that, because at the end it needs to work. And also I need to do some like enablement, with everyone that works with me.
Cool, excellent. That sounds great fun. I like that.
It is.
Cool. Well, before we get back to Cornelio, just have a quick look at at the end of the last week of serverless. So on the 7th of May last week, we were talking all about local testing. So local testing, obviously a big topic with your software delivery lifecycle. You want to do things locally. You also want to do things in the cloud. And so a third-party company, LocalStack, and we had Valdemar Huma on. Really amazing. LocalStack has been sort of doing a whole bunch of things over the past 3 years, and they sort of have amazing new capabilities, which Valdemar was showing off. So that is on our youtube.com/serverlessland, along with all previous episodes of Serverless Office Hours. So yeah, great back catalog of information. And yeah, last week's one was super interesting. In terms of what's new with AWS, well, yeah, the actual second one down is really cool if you may be interested. If you're building front-end applications, you may be using Amplify. So Amplify is a front-end framework. It does a lot of things with JavaScript. And yeah, Gen 2 is now generally available. A whole bunch of cool stuff as part of Gen 2. Being able to generate CDK code as part of the whole sort of package is one of the cool highlights I like. And yeah, a whole bunch of kind of things. So that's happening. And also, if you're using Cognito, there is actually if you're doing machine-to-machine usage, so this isn't user pools and sort of doing your user access, there is a sort of different tiered pricing for that to be aware of if you are using Cognito. In terms of some recent blog posts, yeah, the top one, Yuri Sergeyev, is talking about running code after returning a response from a Lambda function. So going through some of the different options so you can get that fast response back to your users and maybe do some post-processing after the fact. Maybe that's going to be observability. Maybe it's going to be some batching up telemetry. Maybe it's going to be some other kind of things. So yeah, just some useful information that you can get more out of your Lambda functions. It is actually AWS Summit season at the moment, so summits going on all over the world, really free content, lots of high-bar content, lots of big talks. I was at the London Summit, I think it was last week or the week before then, 18,000 people there or more, something like 20,000 people. I've even forgot the numbers. It was, just huge, and the Berlin Summit is actually tomorrow. So if you are around the Germany, Berlin region area, certainly head up to the summit. I know there's going to be a whole bunch of talks there today. I was actually at EDA Day London today, so Event-Driven Architectures Day. We've had the whole day. I'm still at the venue, so we've had a great day, and there are going to be some great videos coming out of that of so many of the talks talking about event-driven architectures. But today we're talking, building a personalized GenAI web app. Now, obviously, GenAI has got massive buzz in the industry at the moment. Lots of people are building some cool kind of things. Certainly, it can be overblown. Certainly, it can be hyped. And then another week comes along, and there's another awesome model that does some other awesome kind of things. So, tee us up here, Cornelio. How should we thinking people about GenAI and what they should be building, and sort of how have you discovered it and what's cool about it?
Yeah, so the thing is, like you said, we see GenAI everywhere, right, today. But what I don't get is that we mostly see the same use case everywhere, right? So like the same. Let me generate this thing like really quickly. But in real life, you don't need that, right? So what I'm going to show today is an app that we think makes sense, where it makes sense to use GenAI because it gives you some value, out of that, instead of just, hey, I have a cool app that just does a chat or something like this. But of course, like you said, GenAI is everywhere today. And we in our team with customers, we mostly do prototypes around this, but of course it depends on the use case. But yeah, this is a big topic today for us.
Cool, excellent. Yeah, we're excited to see what you're going to show us. And remember, of course, we're here live on Office Hours. So yeah, send us your questions, your comments. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always cool to see people all over the world enjoying serverless. So Cornelia, what would you like to show us first?
Yeah, so I'm going to show the app. First of all, I want to
great.
tell you what the app does. I'm going to start with a demo. It has two parts. I'm going to do a demo of the first part. I'm going to show how it works. We can discuss in detail how it works behind the scene. Then I show the second part, and then of course the technical details behind the scene. We can discuss whatever we put in and how we made it work. This app we built it during an internal hackathon that was in January in France, in AWS, of course. So with a couple of colleagues, we went to build an app, and audience, actually we have a cool app, right? And what they said to us is that the app that wins the hackathon will be displayed in the Paris summit, which it was, right? So we had great feedback since then, and that's why we try to push this app towards more customers. That's why I'm here to showcase how it works and explain how we did, because it's interesting. We built this in 2 days, right? I mean,
2 days.
Yeah.
So you built it.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds cool.
On the other hand, right, we use serverless. So I mean, if you say serverless, you say quick, right? Quick development. So first of all, I want to show that we don't have any PowerPoints. So right, it will be code in the app.
That sounds good.
If that's good for you. And so the first part, the application. So the application is something that we all use, right? If you go to a supermarket or in the grocery stores, right, you have all kinds of products. If you want to know what's inside that product, inside that nice box, it's not that easy, right? Because all is written really small. And even if you read it, okay, what's that? I have no idea, right? So our idea was to build an app that basically gives you more insights about what's inside the box, but also something personalized on your taste, right? Let's start maybe with the first demo.
Yeah. Do you want to share your screen and we can see it in action?
Let me share my phone screen. Okay. Now if you see it.
There we go. Yep.
You see it? So I have some products. I have some products in here.
Hey, then it's launching a URL, so we see a blank screen, but I think it is launching a
it should work. It worked before.
Of course, we're doing live demos. This is what it's going to be. We're live streaming, so the internet is going to be saturated. So hopefully this is all going to be good.
Let's see. So yeah, I have some products in here, right? With code bars, like you see in this market. I have some chips and some cookies, and other cookies, right? So I'm going to test them and see what's inside.
So what made you choose? What did you go and pick to choose at the grocery store? This is obviously on work time. So did you go and find the nicest biscuits or the kind of things that you really like to take advantage?
Yeah, this is actually what I'm eating, right? At my home. I prefer it usually. And as usual, the demo.
Of course.
Let me maybe disconnect my phone screen because I should have internet access, right?
Okay, I'm sure we can. Yeah, I'm sure we can.
See why not.
So this first, we're going to show, but this first part is: imagine you're in a grocery store and you maybe are just interested about nutritional information, or you have some allergies or this kind of thing. And obviously, that affects a lot of people, and people are generally interested in nutrition. Is just to be able to use a barcode and find out what is in the packaging. So
exactly. This is like a prototype, but you can imagine you can bring this up further, right? You can have much more integration with more preferences, right?
Yeah, cool. And of course, Focus Otto, thank you for joining us via Twitch. You've obviously nailed the thing on the head. Cookies or biscuits? My American brain. Exactly. We won't go into tomatoes and tomatoes and all kind of thing. Thanks for joining us, Focus Otto. Always nice to see you.
Okay, let me try again.
It no problem.
Work, I hope.
There we go. Excellent.
Okay. Cool. I didn't do anything. I just refreshed the page.
And then Focus Auto, you can see top left, it's called Food Analyzer, and there's a Z in there, so it's the American spelling as well. So there we go.
Yeah.
We're all
So, do you want to start with what? The cookie or the chips?
Cookie or chips? Let us know in the chat which one you're starting with. First person gets to select the first barcode we're going for.
I'm going to send the chips to that person. Okay, no one wants to choose.
There we
biscuits.
go. We've got biscuits. Alpa codes,
okay.
thank you. Biscuits got in.
So
Focus on said chips to do a second, so Alpa codes wins.
So as you can see here on the screen, it's really simple, right? We have two steps. One is to set your preference, and then just scan barcode, right? So let's do this, the preference. So what we put here, we can have a section with allergies. So we can say, I'm allergic to eggs, peanuts, right? This is something that a lot of people have, right? So it's not easy when you buy something, hey, does it have or not? You know, we don't want to see this at home. I don't know, let's say I'm allergic to eggs and I don't know, soy maybe, right? And also there's another section where you can have other kind of preferences, like I don't like to eat meat, or I'm vegetarian, or maybe I want to eat with less salt or less sugar. So maybe let's put less salt, maybe have high blood pressure, right? To eat vegetarian, right? And then you go back to the home screen, go to scan barcode. Take the product, the box, scan the code. Okay. So it uses a public API, which is called Open Food Facts, to identify the product based on the barcode, which gives us basically the list of ingredients and additive. And then this is where the LLM comes in place. We feed this to LLM, say, hey, you have this list of ingredients and additive. Give me a description of each one, like I'm 5 years old. Because like you have description, okay, but what does it mean, right? I want something that is understood by anyone. So
okay, so you've got a workflow over here that is, it's not using GenAI yet. Well, you have done, but it is using this open API. You're scanning the barcode. Some image recognition thing is recognizing the number, calling the third-party API, and then you're getting a list of all the ingredients in the product. Okay.
So what you see here is what it comes from that API.
The return.
Then what we did with the LLM, say, okay, give a description. So whenever I click on ingredient, like let's say one that I don't know what exactly is, right? Let's say I don't know, replace oil, right? I don't know, type of oil that comes from a plant. Okay, I didn't know that, right? Maybe let's say skim milk powder, type of milk that has had fat removed. Interesting.
Okay, so this is using GenAI to create the summaries of these. Okay, yeah. So obviously, I mean, some kind of things like raising agents or that kind of thing. Obviously you can understand what salt is, what rapeseed oil is, and rye and bran and those kind of things. But some of the ingredients and things, you really have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I have cases where it was something like exotic. I was like, okay, what is this? I never saw that. Okay, okay, interesting. And then you have the section with the additives, which is another thing, right? You have this number, say, okay, what the hell each number means, right? It's not that easy. So now again, if we click on it, we say, if you have hundreds on the type of baking soda that is used to help make food soft in the area. Interesting. I didn't know that, right? Let me see this one, 543. A type of mineral used in food to help stay fresh and delicious. Interesting, right? So we have already, we see some the value of LLM, right? Because just giving a name is not easy. And is able to do this, to generate the description by using its own public data. We didn't train it at all because this is like really old public data. So he knows all this. We didn't do any specific task for it, right? It's publicly available. And then what we did is we want to have a summary of what is in the product based on what I checked in my preference, right? So let's see what I have. So based on what are the ingredients and additives, is able to generate all this. And we ask, say, generate a summary and make a list of what is good and what is less good inside, right? So it says, blah, 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 blah. It says, however, user preference for less salt may be in concern as the product contains added salt, right? So you see already that I checked salt, I want to eat with less salt, and it tells me that, right? Otherwise, if I see the box like this, okay, what is salt? I have no idea. I don't know what is the salt in it. And then it says, of course, what is the benefit? It can contain good source of whole grains and so on. It's low fat. Disadvantages: it's a bit more high in sugar, salt, and inclusion of eggs, blah blah blah. Okay, so we see already this summary which doesn't exist right in the box. You don't see this in the box. And then what we did is we want to generate an image that puts in the evidence the product that is the higher quantity inside the product. For example, if it has too much sugar, it will have an image that is generated with sugar. In this case, we see something like some kind of grains of something, right? If I zoom in, so it is not sugar, but it's basically the main ingredient inside the box, right? So it looks kind of cool, right? So this is the biscuit. Let's try the chips. I'm sure it has a lot of salt, right?
So some of that's quite a few things that are chained along. So it's scanning the barcode. It's then getting a summary of the ingredients using GenAI. It is then using a GenAI prompt with your preferences as well to let you know personally what is good, what is bad about what's been scanned on it. But it's if you didn't mention that you didn't have less salt, it may not have brought that up if there's only a medium amount of salt. But if you specifically say you want less salt, that is also going to say that information, and then is generating an image based on the sort of primary ingredients.
Yeah, because I think the key is personalization, right? It's not just generating something, because you see this a lot of.
Yeah, but that's interesting. I mean,
but
it was quite quick as well. It was quite quick as well. There weren't, there's obviously. I mean, I suppose we'll get into how the prompts are constructed a little bit later, but this is impressive.
We have some optimization, so I'll tell you how we did it, right? Let's try the chips. Let's see. Okay, works.
This is the one time on a live stream you don't happy for people to crumple the crisp packet.
So it contains not much, right? 3 ingredients. Okay, I don't have any additives because there is no list. Good, I think, right?
Oh wow!
So it's lace.
I thought the crisps would have been full of additives. I was like, wow.
So, however, the user prefers less salt and vegetarian options, which the product does not fully align with, because it contains something that is not vegan, which is interesting, right? Because vegan, this is even more hard to identify, right? If you read the box, I mean vegan.
I'm even trying to look at the ingredients and going, vegetable oils and salt and whatever the other.
Yeah, but the thing is, the oil is not vegan.
Even though it says vegetable oils. Yeah. Vegan. Okay. Wow, interesting.
And then again, the list, and then the image that is generated, which is kind of a chip, right? See that? The idea is that it gives you something visual, which is not what the box tries to sell you, because the box is always nice. Because if you see like a bunch of sugar, say, maybe I won't buy this because it's too much sugar. Maybe the box is nice, but it's too much sugar, right? So that's the point of this feature, which gives you more insights, but also some visual, because it's always the eyes first instead of something else, right? So maybe now I can explain how it works, how we did it.
Sounds great, yeah.
Let me share a diagram first.
So just to say, this is being the front end is being generated by Amplify. So I was talking about Amplify earlier.
No, actually not. So we use the UI framework that was released by Amazon, which is called Cloudscape.
Okay, yeah.
Which basically gives you basic components to allow you to go fast, which basically we did during the hackathon because we did this in 2 days, which is really cool. And then basically it's just a React application, right, with a component that are refreshing itself, and then there are some backend calls. Let me open the diagram. Share my screen on that. Okay, this is it. If you see it.
There we go. Yeah.
See it? Okay. So let me start maybe on this left side first. So what you have is you have the application, the customers. The entry point is the CloudFront distribution, of course, because we have static files like the UI, which basically it's a no-brainer, and it uses this, and everything's hosted on S3. And then what we did is that CloudFront is calling some Lambda behind on the backend, but we are using Lambda URLs. And this is, I think, interesting because if you are not aware, when you call an LM, it may take a while, right? And if you use, for example, API gateways, the timeout maximum is 30 seconds.
Yep.
And with LLMs, it may be longer than that. This is the way it is today, right?
Yeah. And so it may be shorter and it may be longer. And if it's only longer once, you're stuck. So.
Yeah, the other thing, we did some tests, and sometimes was timeout. Okay, crap, it's not good, right? So if you want to have a good experience, you need to make it work in all cases, right? So what we did is we plugged in this CloudFront distribution to the Lambda URL. And to secure our Lambda URL, what we did is the Lambda URL is protected by IAM permissions. So we said we want to be called only by the distribution itself. And also we use Cognito to give access to users to the application, right? So the Lambda Edge does two things. One is checking if I'm authenticated. So then it will check that GW token against Cognito to see if, okay, the token is valid. And if it does, then it will sign the request that goes to the Lambda Edge, to the Lambda URL. And then it will do the job, right?
Cool. So that's a really, because one of the ways with using Lambda URL, Lambda function URLs is you've got two different auth models. So there's either no authentication, which is if you just want something public on the internet is great, and then you've got IAM authentication, which is great. Yeah. And you normally think, oh, that's if you're using an internal microservice within AWS, IAM is all going to be great. And so tying this together using the Lambda at Edge allows you to have the security at the edge, but also hopping to Lambda internally for the IAM authentication, which is which is a really good way. And there are other options you could do with this as well. This is an approach.
Of course.
Super
this
useful.
Is one approach. We could have used like AppSync or whatever, right? But this is an approach where we wanted to show a different use case where we can use Lambda URL and how we can use it with authentication.
And also using Lambda URLs because it supports the streaming from Bedrock and it supports longer timeouts as well.
Yeah, good point. I'm going to show in the app. We have Lambda in here that are doing the request response mode, but also the streaming part, right? So then, of course, each Lambda will call a Bedrock model. And in our case, is Claude V3.
I'm just going to say, Focus Otter, you've been incredible in finding all the links. I'm sort of chatting away and trying to find them, and Focus Otter is just coming up with some awesome links of all these cool things we're talking about. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And so it's pretty straightforward behind the scene. We have a Lambda that calls Bedrock, and then we select the model. In our case, we use Claude 3 Haiku and Sonnet, and I'll explain where and which one. And then you're talking about the fact that it's fast, right? So what we are doing is to optimize the cost and also the speed. Is every time we have a new barcode, the barcode is scanned, because you have those preferences, what you do is you calculate a hash of all your fields, like eggs or whatever you are requesting and all the preference. And we go to check in our DynamoDB table, say, hey, do I have this product already with those preferences? With that hash?
Ah.
If it's the case, I'm not going to call the LLM again. Neither that Open Food Fact API, right? Because I have that data, and which means if I don't have that product, I'm going to call it, which will be a bit longer. But then the next time it will be already there, right? Because the idea is the same product will be scanned by everyone, but they don't have the same preference. But at some point, maybe you have someone that has the same preference as me. So the idea was to optimize the cost, but also the speed, right? Because that the user experience that we are looking for. So like you see here, have that API, and then we have two lambdas that are being called. So one is to generate that summary. So the first one will call the API. Okay, give me those ingredients, right, and the additives. It will display them, and then it will call the second lambda to get that summary. And this time is done in streaming mode, which means it will be displayed as soon as it arrives. And so here the streaming, we're calling Claude 3 Haiku, which is really, really fast. And you're going to see also about pricing is something interesting. So we'll basically see the response almost instantaneously. We don't need to wait. When the request response, wait a little bit. And for example, for the ingredients list, we choose the request response mode because we have those buttons, and when you click on it, you have a pop-up, right? So it's hard to display this as soon as it arrives because you have some formatting to do, right? So it's not that easy. Where for the summary, what we did is we asked the LLM to give us the result in a markdown format, which means we're able to display it as soon as it arrives without any processing. And I'll show how we asked the LLM, which is kind of cool, right? Because you can see the response right away. It's really fast. No formatting is done, right?
Yeah, I like that approach because often when you are streaming HTML, that's fine because that can be progressive. But I know some people have been when they stream JSON as well, and they need to then wait for the next the formatting to happen before they can produce anything. Well, Markdown, it's just text. At the beginning of the line, if it's going to be a hash or a star, and off you go.
Yeah, exactly. And then the third lambda is the one that is called to generate that image. In this case, we are using Stable Diffusion XL v1.
Okay.
So okay, and basically here we are using we are calling twice the LLM. Once is we're calling the LLM, say, hey, I have these ingredients, generate a prompt for me that is able to generate an image. This is what I want. I'm going to show the prompt itself. So it's because prompt engineering is something really, really hard. Right? So now we are trying to use the LLM to help us do more stuff, right? So this is another maybe a cool usage of LLM where you ask LLM to help you build a prompt, right?
Wow, that's like nested GenAI. I love it. Yeah,
exactly.
Get one LLM to generate the prompt for another one. Cool.
Exactly. And the same here to optimize everything. Once we generate that image, we're going to store in S3 and the metadata and the DynamoDB. The next time, if it's the same product, we're going to get the image right here from S3 and basically send the URL to the UI and then display it, right? So to optimize everything. Maybe we can talk about prompts.
Yeah, prompts always good.
Right.
That's the whole kind of thing when you want to get more.
Right. I think the whole point is prompts. I think in GenAI. Let me show you the prompt that we use to generate the summary. Right. So by the way, so you see code here. So the code is not available yet. So we are working to open source it. So it should be like in 1-2 weeks, I hope.
Oh, cool.
So we'll add the link in the description, right, Julian?
Yep.
So that everyone can pick up. Okay, so this is the prompt. So by the way, we have several lambdas in here. We have a mix between Python and TypeScript. And the reason is that we started doing Python. And when we try to do the streaming, actually it's easier to do the streaming in TypeScript. So we switched a couple of them in TypeScript. So you see, I have TypeScript and Python, right? That's the reason. So let me show you the prompt that we use to get the summary. So we start with this. Technical expert with the task for the recommendation for a specific product.
I always love the beginning of a prompt. Trying to get expert advice. And I love who people think of that. You are a nutritional expert. You're like, that is a great, that's exactly the kind of thing you want. Yeah.
And what we're doing here is we are instructing the LLM to think in steps, not, okay, just give me that, because they're not that good when you ask just a simple thing.
And you want a single prompt here. Or you've got to use LangChain or something like that to chain the prompts along. So yeah, if your task token, I mean, you can do 2-step functions there. If your context window is big enough, stick everything in.
Right, and in our case, it's not that big, right? So we can do this. And this is what we call chain of thoughts, right? So we say, okay, these are averages. You have this list, right? Ensure that the ingredients in the product are suited for the users. Secondly, you have the preference, which I said less salt, right? The same. Make sure that you enjoy it and blah, blah, blah. Then present a list of 3 benefits and 3 disadvantages. And this is what is building that list, in that summary, ensuring that each list consists of precisely 3 points. Because here it depends on how much creativity you give the LLM. It can give you 3 or 10, right? So this is a matter of testing and playing with words to see which one works best and gives you more precise response. And at the end, provide recommendation. So what we are give an example of what it could receive as an input and what we expect as an output. Just you see, example. This is the product name, chocolate. This is the ingredient list, synergies. The response should be like this, and we are giving in here a response in an XML format because it's very good in giving XML usually. LLMs. JSON are good, but they are better in XML. At least what I found in our tests.
The only problem I see there is that although Nutella contains a small amount of calcium and iron, it is not very nutritious. That is shocking. Can't believe that. Like seriously, what a shame! What a shame. This is going to be shaming all of my favorite foods.
I'm sorry. So once we did this, so we instructed how to think. We give an example, and then say, okay, given the response, right? So we say, provide recommendation. This is the product name. It's important because he uses the name because if you don't say the name, it's not easy for the LLM to guess. The ingredients, the allergies, and then provide the response. And the third person, we say in language. Well, I didn't show that the application is available in 2 languages, French and English. And the thing is that basically we're using a single prompt, just changing this variable, saying given this in English, French, could be Italian or any other language that LLM speaks. And that's a good thing because you don't need to
Wow.
develop something else, another prompt.
So you don't have to have the prompt in the language you're going to get the reply from. You can just
No.
you're basically asking in English and tell me in another language.
Even better, you can mix like the ingredients that we have now. I think we selected the French version, which means
Okay.
we speak with him in English, say, okay, here are the ingredients written in French, and then say, hey, provide me the response in maybe Italian.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I think, is really cool, right?
That is cool, yeah.
Gives and then say, okay, and then say, provide the response in Markdown format. This is the key thing that this allows us to display the response in streaming mode. And this is very straightforward, right? Say Markdown, let's have the quotation here, benefits title here, let's have benefits here. And basically just saying this here keyword everywhere, and say, okay, I need to put something in here. Because here I don't say put a title that says this, and that. I'm just saying put benefits title, right? That's cool. And it says something interesting. The same here, and then assistant semicolon, and then okay, give me the response. And that's it, basically. To get that summary and display it in a.
So was this a lot of trial and error to get the prompt, or did you sort of take inspiration from something else, or how should people think about prompt generation for this kind of example?
Yeah, I think it involves a lot of tests. You need to try again. I mean that's the case. I think we spent a lot of time working on this prompt. Even for the Markdown part at first was good, but sometimes we didn't have the title here. We was putting something else. You have to be more specific to say, okay, put the title in here, not something else. Like sometimes you will say, hey, here's the response that I have for you, right? So I think I put something like this in here. Yeah, I said skip the preamble. I don't want to say, here's the response I have for you, right? I just want the response, right? So it's a lot of tweaking like this that makes you.
And I suppose a lot of people say, well, you can really easily swap a model out, and you can obviously with Bedrock use different kind of models. But the sort of prompt engineering part of it, different models need to be coaxed in a particular way, and so that is a sort of learning mechanism to find out how different models are going to respond.
But the good thing with Bedrock is it's kind of easy to switch, right? If you don't use Bedrock, if you want to, let's say, host your cell phone on SageMaker, I mean, this is a different story, right? Where here you basically have an API. The prompt may change, but that's it. Basically,
the actual your interaction with it is just an SDK call in effect.
Yeah, and it stays serverless, right? Everything is serverless. If I don't use it, I don't pay, right? And on the other hand, it allows me to go really fast, right? And then it's just boilerplate, like let's go to calculate the hash and send the response. I mean, there's nothing in here that is interesting outside that prompt, right? Everything is right. Not even much more code, right? So this is for the first part. Do you think?
Cool. I'm just going to pause here because FocusAuto, as usual, is being awesomely helpful and saying, Claude has an amazing doc on formatting prompts for those interested. So there we go. Prompt generation, how you do all the formatting. Because I love that you can bring the markdown, do your titling, all that kind of thing is super cool.
Yeah.
And WinTNT, thanks for joining us via Twitch. I'm building a GenAI front end for the back end content on my video site. Well, glad to know.
Nice,
Thank you.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. Did I forget to mention something about? Let me see. I have some cheat sheets in here. So it's about the cache, the streaming. Maybe a few words. So we build the infrastructure using CDK. I'm a big fan of CDK.
Okay.
Let me show you how you specify the Lambda. You want to be in streaming mode or request response, right? Sorry.
So obviously, if you're writing your functions in TypeScript anyway, but being able to do the CDK in TypeScript as well is obviously
right.
One language altogether.
Right, exactly. Here's the code. So I have one Lambda. For instance, this one is called in request response mode. You just say authentication IAM, and the other one say invoke mode streaming. That's it.
Wow, love it.
I mean, you cannot love this, right?
CDK constructs for the win. There you go.
Exactly. Do you think we're ready to switch to the features?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me share again my full screen.
Yeah, so please, for anybody watching there, I can see there are loads of people watching it. Let us know. Also, I'd love to understand your sort of journey on GenAI and LLMs. Are you sort of exploring at the moment, or as we've heard from some people as well, like building a GenAI front end for the back end content and video site? Yeah, would love to know the kind of things that you're building and sort of what sparked your interest to put it all together.
Yeah. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can. So back to your mobile. Yeah.
Okay. So now the second part, like you can imagine already, this app allows you to take a picture of whatever you have in the fridge, in your fridge. It will propose you some recipes based on your preference. Like if you don't have the whole list, but you can imagine having preference, something like I hate carrots, or I don't like vegetables, right? I only like meat or whatever, right? So this again, the same idea where it's something personalized, right? So I have here some things.
That
food.
looks good.
So what I'm going to do is take a picture of some of them and see what recipes you're going to get.
Ooh, now I'm going to get hungry. This is just my favorite.
Okay.
I've been at a conference today, so I haven't eaten healthily. I've been having, like, as you can imagine, biscuits and conference food, although lunch was really good. So yeah, this is going to be inspiring. I'm going to get some more.
Let's see something interesting with tomatoes and lemon. Okay. So the first step is to basically tell them to say, okay, tell me what is in that image, and tell me only if you have food elements, not like keyboards or whatever, right? I don't think interesting in that.
Yeah, you don't want a mouse. You don't want a mouse in the recipe. That would be so you can actually put multiple things in the picture. So
yeah, I mean, we can do only one. We can have some cucumbers and apples and eggs. Right? Let me see, eggs and tomato, for example. Right? Okay.
Cool. Why not?
Image.
Tomato tart, maybe.
So this one. So the first step is to identify whatever he sees in the image.
So now this is not using a GenAI thing to get the ingredients from the image.
It does. It does.
Okay.
And you can see cherry tomatoes, eggs. So far so good. And now it's going to generate me 3 recipes that are using this, and based on my preference, right? So let's see whatever he's generating for us. So here are 3 recipes, and it gives him also an image that represents that recipe, right? So I can see, okay, that looks cool, right? Cherry tomato salad, refreshing simple salad, right? Given some preparation time, so basically generates 3 recipes from the simplest one to the hardest one. I have preparation time. I have some additional ingredients required, right? Because you cannot cook only with egg and cherry.
Yes.
Maybe you need oil or something. And then there's another one. That's a really nice one.
Pasta, that looks good, yeah.
So I have 3 recipes. And what I can do now, okay, I see. Let me see the step-by-step of each one, right? And here, you're going to see the streaming part. Let's see this one. You see?
There we go.
That's it. It took, I don't know, 2 seconds most. All right. So I have all the detailed steps for each part. I step 1, prepare tomato, make the dressing, assemble the salad, right? And for each step, it gives me the list of ingredients that I need for that step. Like first name is tomato, ingredients, and olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and so on at the end, right?
And it's interesting that, if you just go up a little bit, that's quite funny. There was a thinking prompt.
Yeah, and this is a bug, actually. This is a bug. This was not supposed to be.
Everybody needs to think a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to show the prompt because here we are using a different technique where we say, okay, you should do this. Think about first and then give it the answer, right? So that's a cool way to instruct the LLM to think in steps.
That's also interesting here as well, because you've done a prompt. Well, you've done two ingredients, and it's actually not used the eggs as well. It's just done a simple one and thought we don't have to use everything, because you can imagine there'll be some odd combinations, and it's actually done something clever, thinking, tomatoes is going to be fine.
And you can imagine, take a picture of your whole fridge, but you check the box, say, I don't like eggs, right? So even in the picture you have eggs, it will not use the eggs, right? So this is the clever part, right? And I don't, let's say this one.
Oh, cherry tomato pasta. I told you I'm going to get hungry.
Okay, right. So the same, we have all the steps, and here we don't have that thinking part. So it's slipped up on the other part. But that's the thing, no? It has, again, like in the first feature, does this in multiple steps. One, okay, tell me what is in the image. Okay, if you have something in the image, I'm going to call another lambda to say, okay, propose me 2 recipes with these ingredients. It gives me that, and then say, okay, give me step by step. And as you saw, the recipes are displayed in the request dispose mode, and the step-by-step on streaming. And the reason is that because the result of each recipe, we needed to parse it, because we're going to send it to the third call when you say, give me the step-by-step, but this is the recipe.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So in the first time, we need to parse that response. So we ask, okay, give me an XML with this, I'm going to show it. And then the last part, okay, give me the response and use Markdown. And there I can display as soon as it comes, right? Maybe I can show the prompts again, because this is the
sounds good. That's
most interesting part. The prompts for the first one. This one.
Cool. Mika Walter as well. Yeah, thanks for joining us via Twitch. I'm building a CLI in Go that works with all the models available via Bedrock. github.com/go-mika chat CLI. Mika Walter, thank you very much. That'll be cool. Have a look at that as well. And Focus Auto after all your giving us information, absolutely, you get more questions than anybody. I get the streaming part, but how are you streaming Markdown in the component?
Yeah, let me show that.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, there is a component actually that allows you to do this in
cool. Let me go to the
Cloudscape.
Bring the screen up. There we go.
So we have the streaming in the product summary, for example. Let me see where is the barcode product summary. So this is that is called React Markdown actually.
Okay.
We have this
React Markdown,
which is very basic. It's like you put this, and then we have a set of for this. Let me show you. This recommendation. Once we get the response, we say the recommendation, and this is basically we have a loop, of course, to get each chunk, and then you set this because we have that component React inside that says, okay, I'm displaying React. It puts everything together as soon as it arrives, right? So it's really basic, and it's the effect I think is really cool, right? Because you see it as soon as it goes. You don't have to. Because at first I was thinking, okay, hey, maybe we could do some XML. We can try to process the XML, wait for the opening tag, closing tag, but it's like a nightmare, right? If you have multiple labels. So let me get back to the prompt for the image in the proposal.
Let
me see. This is it. Where was the? So I think.
Which part we at? I'm also.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's the step-by-step part. We ask for the thinking. Let me see. Yeah. So we have two prompts in here when we're going to ask to give us the step-by-step. So okay, we call this the system prompt. It asks us to generate personal recipes ideas based on user input. Available. Blah, blah, blah. Use information to suggest a variety of creative, delicious recipes.
Yes, I forgot to ask. So this is also still using your dietary preferences. This is
of course.
Using. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the community user directive needs. Each provide this description. Blah blah blah. So this is the first prompt, which is kind of generic, right? Yeah. Then we have the second prompt, where I say, okay, this is the recipe title, which is something that was generated in the previous step, like I said. This is the description, so anything that was like the cooking time and so on. These are the ingredients. And then say, okay, you need to have multiple steps in Markdown format this time, right? Okay, step 1, step title, action 1, action 2. So we give you some examples. Like I'm not sure if it has 2 actions, right? But I'm saying action 1, do something, action 2. So to let him understand that I want to put everything in a list where are all the small steps right inside. Ingredients. Tell me what are the ingredients in this 1, 2, 3, whatever. Right. So all this instructs him to have the proper format in the response. Just have the each action in detail with the concise description, because sometimes can be really long. So you have to test. Okay, don't be that that long, right? With ingredients, quantities, and apply it. And then what I'm saying again, response must be in that language again. The same trick that basically. And say use only the ingredients present in the provided recipe, because if you say use ingredients, it can use that, but much more. So again, prompt engineering is you need to play with the words to see which one works better than the other, and of course do a lot of tests, right? And then at the end,
explicit or not,
exactly. And this at the end we say think step by step and level to start inside thinking. And this is what we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And when we don't use this technique, it's not that good actually in providing those steps. So it's like maybe it's too much things for him to do when we say, okay, think, and then giving the response instead of just giving the response. So again, this is a different technique that we use for a different use case than the other lambdas, right? So we tried also to cover different use cases. As you see, we had image to text, text to image, text generation, but also the streaming part, the streaming generation mode, or recursive response, thinking mode, chain of thoughts, right? One shot training and so on. So then again, of course, the rest is straightforward. Like you see, even the code of this lambda is, except that the prompt is in general recipe steps and just sending the response to the front end, right? Are there any questions about this?
No, not at the moment.
Maybe,
just I wanted to ask, because you've obviously, we're talking through a whole bunch of different prompts within the function. Is this different handlers within a single Lambda function, or is it just running the same handler code and going through different sort of? Are you basically chaining together your prompts in a single Lambda function?
No. I have different lambdas.
Okay, but it's using the same code base. It's just going into different parts of the file then.
But the code, yeah, I mean, we have a few functions that are calling Bedrock, behind calling Bedrock, which are identical. There is not much difference. And then just a matter of
Focusart is actually asking, like, are you actually interacting with Claude directly, using the Claude SDK directly, or via the Bedrock SDK?
No, it's via Bedrock.
Okay,
so we use this very basic Bedrock runtime client, and then we just call it.
Okay.
So it's like we use the AWS SDK for this.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe anyone is curious about pricing? How much does it cost?
Sounds good. Yeah. And that's not just the cost of the food. So yeah.
Yeah, because now LLM are nice, but it can be expensive at some point if you call them every time for every little task, right?
Yeah.
So I have a Excel sheet in here with some pricing examples. So I have here price information for the barcode scanning part, the first part that we saw, and I have the price here in the case where I'm scanning a product for the first time, and I don't have that product in my database. So I'm going to call the name for each part, right? And you see here I have a min and max, because min for us is when you have no preferences checked, which means the prompt is smaller. And max when you check everything, which means it's a bit bigger, not that much, but a bit bigger, right?
So that's how many tokens it's basically using.
Exactly. So as a reminder, maybe for the audience, you are pricing the price is based by a number of tokens.
Okay.
A token is basically a number of characters, which can be 3, 5, it depends, right? And so it's priced by the input or the output of those tokens. So I have here the pricing for the ingredients list, where you say, okay, give a description of each one, where we use Claude Sonnet. For the summary part, we use Claude Haiku, because it's faster and understanding mode. And for the image, which is using Stable Diffusion Excel. So we have all this, and this is how much this costs, like min and max. It's roughly the same. $0.04 for one product.
So 5 cents per lookup,
Yeah. So if the same product is scanned again, and the preferences are the same, basically you don't pay for Bedrock.
Okay.
Which means at scale, if you optimize your code and you don't code every time because you don't need it, you could have something very cost optimized.
Yeah, and I suppose especially on even the first one on the ingredients that you're taking in, because that hasn't been linked with your preferences yet. So once you got the ingredients from the World Food API, that's going to be easy to cache.
And again, it can go further, because in our case we say, okay, per product we have a list of ingredients, but if we don't have it, we call again. But we can imagine cache each ingredient by itself. Say, right, do I have oil something? If not, I'm going to put in a list called LM. Right, so we can go even further to optimize even more.
Okay,
which means you have a smaller prompt. So the price, I think it's pretty fair, right? And I have another tab here because the first application was built using Claude V1. I want to show you the price for the same thing for V1. It's roughly the same, actually. And this is because the image part is the most expensive. If you see here, we have 1 0 after the comma, where for the text is 0. We have 2 0 after the dot.
Yeah.
So basically, the image is taking the price up, but otherwise, for the text generation, as you can see, you have 2 zeros, right? I mean, it's nothing per product.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose even from a business thing, you can decide whether you do want the image
Of course,
or grab something else. So
right, this is a prototype to showcase something, right? In real life, maybe you don't want that image, or maybe you want it in some specific cases or for specific product. You can find ways to optimize it even more. Right?
So yeah, two things I wanted to ask. In fact, before I ask Focus Huddle again, so you said this was for a hackathon, but just curious, what kind of sort of error handling do you have on your back end? Deal queues, retries, everything. How would people think about productizing a GenAI application? You're obviously doing a whole bunch of calls to Bedrock and that kind of thing. What kind of things can go wrong? How do you manage that? How do you think about that?
We had some things that were going wrong almost every time in the first version, where we asked the LLM to provide us the response in JSON format.
Okay.
And then JSON is not that good actually. Sometimes like is forgetting the closing curly brackets or the opening one.
Yeah.
And what we did is we end up doing is a function that cleans up the JSON. So we have some libraries you can Google. Basically, you give a broken JSON, they can fix it. So we had to do this. It was like painful, right? Because every time it was like, there's another error because actually it's missing something else and so on. And when we switched to XML, we had no errors with XML from the LLM. It always gave us the response in the same format, which is
so you're getting the response from the LLM in XML and then transposing it into Markdown, or
no. We have cases where we ask for XML, and cases where we ask for Markdown. In Markdown, basically, if there are errors, it could be like typo, right? Because we don't format anything. But for the others, where we ask for XML, we never had any errors on XML. Where in JSON, it was like every time. That's an issue that we have. The first.
Okay, so yeah, in terms of sort of error handling and that kind of thing, is it just standard sort of Lambda best practices that if Bedrock was down, for example, or there was some kind of error, you would be able to generate some kind of thing which the front end would be notified and say, unable to retrieve recipe or that kind of thing?
Yeah, we do something very basic because it's request response. If something went wrong, for instance, the Open Food Facts API is often in timeout. Not sure why. So basically, when it happens, we catch that error and we send it back to the UI saying, "Hey, the Open API error." Instead of what we're doing at first saying unknown error, the classic one. I don't know what is the problem. When they say, okay, but what is the problem? So now we catch the error and send them back to the UI. Something very basic.
Cool. Yeah. No, Focus Huddle comes back to I made so much regex code to fix JSON errors. JSON is going to be a game changer for me. Was that switching to XML? Was that?
Yeah, XML maybe.
Yeah. Switching to XML. And Alpa Codes, thanks for joining us. LLM response format does not affect pricing. So XML with closing tabs may get big. Yeah, I mean some of the different formats are going to be way more verbose. Yeah,
of course. But then it depends what you're asking for. You want something cheaper that may be broken, or something that works every time and more expensive. But if you look at the prices, a few tags more in the output.
Yeah, you're paying more for the actual stable, the image generation. The text is not going to be as much. Yeah.
Right.
Excellent. So I want to ask a question. You came into this to build a sort of hackathon kind of thing. How did you come up with an architecture? How did you think about designing an application? You obviously had a use case in mind. Food, I think it's a really understandable use case, which is really cool. But if somebody's thinking, okay, I want to take my first steps in building a GenAI application, what were the sort of tentative first steps you took that people could maybe get lessons from?
I mean, the first approach that we had, the whole team is serverless first of all. I mean, for me, it's a. I mean, at least
that is a non-choice. Yeah.
I try to do this unless I can do it. Right? If I have to do something else, I will. But I try to do serverless first, which guarantees you to go fast. First of all, like I said, 2 days. I mean, build this app that works. So and then you have to think about how we're going to split up the pieces in your app. And we decided to have that 3 layers basically, where you have different lambdas for each one. You could have one. At first, we thought about this because of the latency and because of the duration of the processing, right? So because the lane can be longer. So hey, let's split it. That way it will be under 30 seconds. But it wasn't the case. But now if I have to do it again, maybe I will do it the same. Because if you split this, imagine the user experience. Would you prefer waiting 1 minute to have all at once, or have the things that they come? For instance, the time you are spent to read the summary, the image is generated behind the scene. So you basically don't need to wait.
Yeah. And specifically in these kind of progressive things, well, that's what the some of the progressive web apps are, or micro front ends is this kind of thing. Is your eye is going to be drawn to something that you're going to be reading something, and the rest of the page can fill in when needed. Yeah,
it's tricks. Like you should do some tricks.
So I mean, you picked a serverless approach to go for it. How did you think about using LLMs or interacting with the GenAI, or even model choices? What was your thought process about that? Because that then I can see that being sort of cascading to then deciding how you're going to do prompt engineering and how you're going to handle that. So yeah, how was your thought process about picking an LLM or going down that road?
So picking the right one, I mean, there are a lot of things on the internet. You can go you find there are some models are good for text generations, others are good at something else, right? So for our use case, Claude seems to be the right fit. But again, you need to test to see. Does the result fit your needs? If not, maybe try another one. In our case, it works pretty good. So we say, okay, that's good. As I said, the first we use Claude V1, then Claude V3, which is faster, seems to be better, But again, it's testing and set your expectation. What is your expectation from the output? And especially with LLMs, you need to test maybe a different one. If you don't like the output from the one, then you can play with parameters, have parameters, so we can say be more creative or less creative. So I would say GenAI, it's content generating the hardest task, I would say, where you're going to spend the most time.
Definitely, and I believe, and I could be wrong, I think Bedrock has also got now a playground mode where you can also try out the LLMs in the console. So, even without having to build an app necessarily with SDK calls and everything, just in the playground in the console, you can try some of your prompts and see what comes back and see how they work, I think.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, this was fascinating. I think what I like about this, Cornelia, is it's a use case that is completely understandable. Whether you are interested in nutrition or not, you can understand getting a barcode, understanding nutrition information, looking up those E numbers and not having any idea what they are or what the sorbic acid is in some kind of thing. Getting an English kind of thing. And that's based personalized on your food allergies, I think is super useful for some people. And then being able to generate 3 recipes with a picture as well is just sort of is just sort of the icing on the cake, or the cookies. So Michael Allen, thanks very much for the cookies. Now hopefully we're not talking about website cookies, but actual cookies that you can eat, because I'm definitely hungry after doing this live stream. Cornelia, thanks so much for spending time today with us on Serverless Office Hours. We will update the show notes with link information when we do know. It's going to be probably what called Food Analyzer app. Is that the thing?
Something like this.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to see it in action, the app will be displayed in several summits. And so I have the listing here. So it's going to be in New York Summit, Tel Aviv Summit, Milan, Dubai, Stockholm, and Madrid. So if you're there, go there. There will be a booth. The app will be called Food Lens in the booth. You have this app, you have people showing you the app, you can test it by yourself, can discuss even more if you have more questions about this.
Cool, excellent. And focus on when can we get stay in touch with Cornelia? Well, I'll bring up it's in the show notes as well, so via Twitter and via LinkedIn, so that's got the information. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Cornelia, super cool demo application, I love it. And thanks so much for Focusata for providing all the links as well. Everybody, see you same time, same place. We're actually probably going to be doing more GenAI. I haven't quite got all the inner details, but it's going to be some more GenAI next week, of course. So thank you very much. See you same time, same place. And catch up with Cornelia on the road in one of the summits and be able to play.